Hey guys, Book of Catherine. So you are catching me in the middle of travel, so I apologize, but this is the way it is. So beat up from PT and then beat up from travel, so you've got me 2 times. That's how it is. But I had started taping kind of like a carryover from my last video on my PT update, and then I got cut off, so I never got to finish filming it. And what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit was functionality, which is a thing that I learned about physical therapy. And it was a big discovery for me. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about it, especially for those of you guys who are in the middle of PT, or for those of you who have family members who are in PT, or family members who have a lack of mobility, or have family members who are just getting sick and who are starting to get into bed or losing mobility, and things like that. I want to share with you some things, or this might even help you to know if you have a good physical therapist or not. So I found out, I was really shocked. I think I shared this on my Twitter. I was really shocked to find out that my lower half of my body, my lower functionality, was only a 12 out of an 80. Like, I could have a score of 80 and I scored a 12. And I was really shocked about that. And the reason that I was really shocked about that was because I had been teaching those dance classes. I mean, I knew I got worse, and I had been taking some videos to like see how I was doing in the classes and things like that. And you could see it. You could just see it was a dramatic difference. I could see like my body just crumpling. But also, like, I was doing those Pilates like exercises, these like Pilates things, and granted I had to adjust them. But after this procedure that I had done, and granted we had thought that it would do a lot more than it did, but it was able to take me from not being able to do any kind of exercises at all to being able to at least do floor Pilates, where I was able to at least put weight onto my lower back, like onto the sacroiliac joint, onto the back of the hips. And I was actually able to do those like bicycle knee presses, like where I could take my knees and hold a knee and like point out my foot and like switch the knees or whatever. And I was able to do those. And so to get a 12 out of 80, and be like, well, how is that possible? Like, how is that even possible? Like, I know that I know that most of the day I'm frozen in bed. Like, most of the day I'm frozen in bed. Like, I know that, showers are out, and I know that baths are out, and I know like all that. Like, I know you guys have seen that. But like, I'm at least able to like, manage to get to, I can at least, like, when I can get to a Pilates and like do these certain exercises. Like, how can I just have like a 12 out of 80? And and the thing is it asks all these questions, and I was like, well, I can't do that, and okay, well, I can't do that. And I wasn't really thinking through how much I was adjusting in these Pilates, but for me, I hadn't been able to do all these things before. I wasn't able to do even the mat exercises at all before then. And so for me, I was like, wow, I had just come so far. And what I wasn't aware of is that in that time where I wasn't moving, and there was a time like before I started filming my channel, and you guys never got to see this, but there was a time where I was just like this in my bed, where I couldn't, like, I still struggle to get my meds in the morning. Like, if it's behind me, I can't get to them. Like, most of the morning is spent warming up just to like actually get to be able to reach the meds. It's this whole long process. So we try to, keep them as close to me as possible and all these sorts of things. But I mean, it used to be like, I couldn't, there is like, I had to wait till someone came home, or a nurse actually had to give me them. Like, there was no possible way of getting to them. So we're talking like, I used to just be like this curled up ball and going nowhere. And like no movement at all throughout, no walking or whatever throughout the day, and ever, like, no mobility at all. And during that time, the muscles just began to atrophy. And then when I did this diet, I also started, like, my body, I wasn't able to eat like the protein. And I didn't know this, but if you don't eat the protein, you know, your body will just start to eat the muscle. Like, if you don't, like, because you're going so low on calories anyway. And that was a bad thing to do. Like, I didn't know that. A friend told me that because I was just like, well, I'm just eating less calories, big deal. And my muscle mass had kind of stayed with me, like, through, like, I had a lot of muscle mass stay with me through this illness, miraculously enough. And I think that's genetics to some extent, and age and all those sorts of things. Like, luckily enough, I'm young enough and everything like that. But then it just all hit at a whammo of time of, like, you know, finally all these factors hit at the same time. And I remember within the space of like 6 months, like, whether it's the diet and not eating the protein every night and things like that. And I just remember just looking at my legs going, what happened? Like what happened to my legs? Like, why are they like this? I've never seen them like that before. And that's when the shaking, like, really got bad and everything like that. So, and that's when I noticed that, like, when I'd have good days, like, when I used to have good days, I used to be able to do things throughout the house. And then I kind of lost that. Like, the good days weren't as good anymore. Like, the good days, and especially when I got the channel, like, when the good days I could do a video. But before, when I had a good day, I could at least move throughout the house. They were rare, but I could at least move. And that was, you know, going downhill. And I'm really glad for the channel because you keep track of that, which is why I always recommend to people when I talk to them in hospitals and stuff like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, video diaries are a great thing. So I say that all the time. I'm just like, do it. Anyway, so what I learned was functionality, and functionality is a big key term. Like, how can you do all these exercises, but how can you get a 12 out of 80? How can I do all these exercises? How can I stand up and, like, do these videos for you and still have such a low functionality score? And what happened is that she was like, well, you're doing these Pilates exercises, but you're pointing your feet. And I was like, well, yeah, you know, dancer, like, point your feet. She's like, every dancer tells me that. She's like, every dancer. And I was like, I thought that was a good thing. No. She's like, in real life, you walk, and you don't walk with a pointed foot. In real life, you're walking with a flat foot, like you're walking, you know, with your feet up. And those use different muscles. And she's just telling me, like, you know, exercises are one thing. Functionality is a different thing. And functionality uses a whole, and what functionality means is the ability to get in a car, get out of a car, like, get up and in and out of a shower, be able to do the dishes, be able to get up and out of a chair, like all these things that I can't do. And just a whole range of, it's not exercises. Functionality is like living life. And so she started giving me these exercises, and it's really pathetic because I at the time of filming for you guys, I had been working at it a month, and I got up after a month of working, I got up to 6 reps on each side twice with no weights, without going into, like, you know, massive, you know, screams and shudders and everything, and really bad, horrific things that ended up making it just worse than it already was, and making it to the point where, you know, impossible to, like, kind of do it the next day. Like, it was getting to the point where, like, I was just dreading the PT every day because I knew I was going into trauma. Like, I knew it was going to be so, and she was like, then you're overdoing it. And I was like, oh. So we had to keep lowering it and lowering it and lowering it and lowering it to the point where it was finally like 6 on each side twice. And that's about all I can handle, like, even now. And I'm struggling at that and just trying to get there. But at least I can get my leg up, because in the beginning, I couldn't even get my leg up when I flexed my foot. And so I wanted to just share that with you guys about the difference between doing exercises and, you know, feeling pretty and being a dancer and sitting there and stretching, and functionality. Like, you can go and you can do all these great, you know, Pilates workouts and stuff like that. But if we're not moving in our daily lives and, like, actually being active and things like that, We have to be able to move, like desk jobs and stuff. I can see why. And I remember before I was injured and before I went out and did consulting, in between my owning a business and consulting, I decided to, like, I did a desk job for a little while. And every chance I got, like between every meeting, I was out the door, which is part of the reason I switched into consulting, because I was like, screw this. Every moment, like I could, I was out the door, and I would do like a power walk around the building. Like I would just do like a power walk up and down, like huge power walks. I was fast because I just couldn't stay still. And maybe that's why I lasted as long as I did. But hold on a minute. But this is something that's really scary that I found out after I started moving, or after I started getting into PT. I started asking, like, what would have happened if I had not gotten these things that got me moving. And there was a time, like, there was a time where I remember I said I really felt myself, like, just going down. Like, really, there's a spiraling point where I was going down, and I was really getting worried. I was like, I am really tanking. I got really, really worried. Well, when you stop moving, the body eventually it goes away. Like your body can't, it's kind of like when a baby's not touched or whatever, a baby dies or whatever. I learned that if your body doesn't move, it dies. And I'm so glad nobody told me that. Like, no, wait a minute, no. I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not. Because I would have done things differently, maybe. I can't remember half of it because of the pain, but maybe I would have started researching earlier instead of, watching movies earlier or something. I don't know. Maybe I would have done something differently. I know in the beginning, like when I was researching, there were just so many things. I was like, oh my God, I'm dying. Like everything, on web, and everything makes you think you're going to die, like everything. Because I just had so much. It was just high, no hail. But I wish I knew that that's where it goes. Which is why I'm saying something. So those are my two things, is that society talks about the fact that you have to be touched. You have to be touched. You have to be touched. As a baby, you have to be touched. We need affection. But we also need to move. And I actually get upset now, like when I go into certain, like, there was one PT office we went into earlier, and I actually got upset because there was a fully healthy woman behind the counter, and she was so overweight. Not so overweight, but I was like, she was overweight to the point that it was affecting her functionality. And she was like a little bit older than I was, like when I, got sick, and I was like, I could see it was affecting her functionality, but here she was at a PT office. And do you know, I was angry. And I was like, that's a new feeling. That's a new feeling. And I was like, where is that feeling coming from? And I was just like, how dare you? Like, how dare you take that for granted? How dare you take that moving for granted? And then I was like, girl, you didn't know either. Like, you didn't know either. Because she's going to lose it. Like, it's already, she had the hardest time getting up. Like, it affects your functionality, and it just spirals down, and and I've noticed things with food, you know what I mean? Like, I can tell it's just so hard. It's so hard to, like, avoid everything. Everything's driven towards carbs. Like, pretty much life, eating a healthy life, is pretty much saying no to everything. It's just a life of saying no. But it's just, at the same time, it's like a life of just yes, because you just feel better all the time. Like, you just do. Like, once we get back on the diet, we're just like, we just feel better. Like, it's so much more stress-free. You just feel better all the time. We have more energy. I don't know. And I know to eat, like, we worked hard once we figured out, like, it was eating away at the muscles. Like, we really made sure to find protein that my stomach can handle. Like, suddenly we were like, okay, find something the stomach can handle. So, like, I make sure to eat my protein every night. So now I don't lose, any muscle mass. Not that there is anything to lose after that. But anyway, those are just, I hope all those tips help you out in whatever health journey you're on, or that your family members are on, or wherever you are in life. Those are just all these little things that I wish I had known, or that I took for granted. And it's not for me to judge at all, but I was surprised to feel this anger, and I was just, and then, I checked myself. But I guess I was just so jealous of her health. I was so jealous of her health. And here she was, just, like, not doing anything with it. She was just actually just eating her way to less functionality. And I was just like, but I understand, because everything in society pushes us towards that. Everything in society, like everything, all the astroturfing, everything, all the programming, it all makes us feel like crap about ourselves, and all this stuff like that, all the movies and everything like that, which is why I'm so grateful for, like, the older movies and stuff like that. It gives us hope, you know what I mean? Like, thank goodness for movies like The Goonies and things like that, and things that, like, some kind of, something to make you laugh and feel like there's something like friendship. So anyway, those hopefully help you out, and I'm sorry that I can't be with you as much, but I think you guys have been so great. You know why. And yeah, this last few days have just been so bad. I haven't even been able to write as much, but I still have been able to write. I've still been loud. Thank you so much. And I love you guys. And I know you guys will be with me, so I don't know if I'll get this up in time for the appointments, but you guys end up feeling it anyhow. I don't know how you guys are getting, like, you guys are starting to pick up on it or something like that. I think you must know my writing patterns by now or something like that. So anyway, thank you for being along for the ride, and I love you guys. Peace out. Bye. Oh yeah, you like the vintage shirt? I'm wearing vintage now. Remember I said I'm wearing vintage, and it's so much more comfortable. So I'm not going to be looking so chic anymore. I mean, I will when I'm able to get all dressed up, but I just look like, I was like, oh my gosh, I look like a boy, but I was like, I'm so comfortable. So vintage stuff is so much more comfortable. They made it so much more comfortable before. Like, so much more comfortable. And I'm like, I can wear clothes. People in chronic pain know, like, clothes hurt. Clothes hurt. Clothes hurt. And I'm like, clothes don't hurt so much anymore. Like, they really don't. Like, I was like, I actually put on an outfit the other day. And I was like, look, I'm wearing real clothes. It was so great. It was so great. I like actually did an outfit. It was so great. It was so great because it wasn't for like dancing or anything. I like yet to do. It was just, oh, it was just, you guys don't know. Oh my gosh, it was so great to like not do a bathrobe, but like to do it like real clothes. And that was the gift of vintage. Like that was the gift of vintage. I just wanted to have to show you. So yeah. So I'm gonna look a little. And they're like from all over. They're all different kind of generation. I'm not really choosy. I'm just like, I just kind of like, if I like it, I go with it. So anyway, I'll say goodbye again. All right, peace out. Bye.